Yo, what's going on, guys? GZTV back with another video, and we are continuing the trend of talking about 2022 movies, some of the best ones that dropped that year according to critical reception, and we have Everything Everywhere All at Once here for you guys, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about this movie. I've heard a lot of good things about this movie for sure. Um, Going into it, and then I watched it and I was just amazed. Like, I don't even know how to explain this movie. I'll do the best I can, but it's a challenge to describe this movie to someone that's never seen it. This is Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan's second films directing. The Daniels, they direct films together. Everything Everywhere All at Once almost makes this his previous films look like a monster amongst a cavalcade of insane multiverses, unlimited possibilities, and endless creativity. Daniels has given audiences a wholly unique vision that literally feels like everything, everywhere, all at once. It's the most claustrophobic, cluttered film I've ever seen in my life. It is crazy. This movie is crazy. Leading this trip is Evelyn Wang, played by Michelle Yeoh, at her all-time best. This is probably one of her best performances. She might have been in some other karate movies. Maybe that's her thing. I think I've heard people talk about that. She runs a struggling laundromat with her overly optimistic husband Wayman, and equally fantastic Hee Young. I don't want to say his name. When we first meet Evelyn, she's surrounded by receipts thanks to the laundromat getting audited. Her husband is putting googly eyes on bags of laundry, and it doesn't take long for Evelyn to embarrass her daughter Joy, played by Stephanie Zhu, when introducing her girlfriend to Evelyn's father Gong Gong, played by James Hong. To make matters worse, Evelyn doesn't know Wayman has divorce papers, and IRS Inspector Deidre, played by a hilariously wild Jamie Lee Curtis, accuses the laundromat of fraud. It's crazy that Jamie Lee Curtis is in this Chinese cultural movie. As someone tells Evelyn later in the film, Evelyn is living her worst you. But that's not to say Evelyn hasn't tried to escape her monotonous life. We learn she's wanted to be a singing coach and an author, amongst other interests that became hobbies instead of life-altering careers. But Evelyn's life irrevocably changes when a version of Wayman tells Evelyn that she's just one of many Evelyns. Yet she's the only one that can defeat a powerful villain named Jobu Tupaki, who can destroy all the universes. And there are a lot of universes in this movie. It is insane how many places they jump around here, and I mean the costume design, the set design. This is probably a high budget movie, let's be honest. Daniels turns Everything Everywhere All at Once a frenetic and truly ridiculous barrage of probabilities and multiverse jumping. Anything you can imagine, Daniels has also thought of and thrown into this film. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a bombardment of hot dog fingers, googly eyes, Wong Kar-wai homages, fanny packs, incredibly strong pinky fingers, talking rocks, the 9 Days song, absolutely, story of a girl, raccoons, the guy who played Santa Claus and I Think You Should Leave, and butt plugs. Everything. This movie's wild. And everything, everywhere matters to everything. That's the premise, pretty much. Part of the brilliance of Everything Everywhere All at Once is the remarkable amount of ideas Daniels can cram into this story without it becoming an absurd mess. It is kind of a mess, but it's not too much of a mess that you're like, okay, I'm done watching this movie. However crazy you're thinking a story can get, triple it. There are no restraints, no stops, no idea too wild that doesn't make it into Everything Everywhere. And while at times the film can almost feel suffocatingly overwhelming, it's all part of the bigger plan, an everything bagel of probabilities. Amongst this film that flies by so fast, it should have an epilepsy warning. It is an extremely touching story about the paths we take in our lives, the paths that we didn't take, and how they lead us to exactly where we need to be. We could have been a chef, we could have been a singer, but no, we're this, Again, this is coming from the two directors that made a guy's friendship with a dead body a truly moving story. Daniels can make anything and everything happen, and he's starting to show it in his director career so far. Key to this narrative are the performances by Yeo, Kwan, and Azu. With so many versions of these characters running around this multiverse of madness, these three are able to meet any challenge that the Daniels throw at them, whether a star-crossed lover-type story, a Pixar parody, or some of the most entertaining fight scenes in recent memory. As the grounding force of everything everywhere, Yeo is simply incredible, as no matter what incarnation of Evelyn we see her in, Yeo always brings that original of Evelyn's aspirations, attitude, and fears with her. Also tremendous is Kwan, the gigantic beating heart of the film, who gives an earnest, hilarious, and emotional performance, and Hizu, who has to be both extremely vulnerable and one of the biggest threats to the universe at the same time. Not an easy task as an actress. With everything everywhere all at once, Daniels is touching on many of the same concepts they tried to tackle with their first film, just in a more bonkers way with a larger scope. Everything everywhere has to be as nutso as it is to prove its point. When everything is possible, what truly matters? While the third act can occasionally seem weighed down by Daniels' script attempting to hit all the grander points they're trying to make, it all comes together in the end if you're willing to take the ride. On the way, Daniels explores the hopelessness of depression, the little miracles that truly make life worthwhile, how acts of kindness can be an extraordinary asset, and, most fitting to this film, how it's okay to be a mess. Like, it's okay to not know what to do with your life. It's okay to be scatter-minded and just not have a set thing. Like, that's okay. If Daniels had said they had spent the 6 years since this film filming everything, since his first film filming everything everywhere all at once and putting together this awe-inspiring world, it can make perfect sense. It's rare that a film crams as much into it as this one does, yet without feeling overstuffed or ridiculous for the sake of being audacious. There's a real determination and attention to every chaotic choice, a method to this madness that ultimately makes Everything Everywhere All at Once one of the most ambitious and ballsy films in recent years, maybe even ever. Daniels tries to cram everything everywhere all at once into everything everywhere all at once, and I'll be damned, they accomplished that goal with brilliance and style. Like, this is a work of art. This is a great movie. You don't want to miss this movie. I don't have much to say about this film. I want to talk about it a little bit more. Kind of give you guys my interpretations on what things in the film mean. So there's pretty much, the main character is Evelyn, but there's pretty much two characters they compare here, Evelyn and her husband. Her husband is nihilistic, like, he doesn't want to fight anything, he doesn't want to fight for change, he doesn't want to fight for anything ambitious. So he's kind of like a nihilist. Like, he's kind of like on his daughter's side. Like, his daughter's kind of a nihilist. She doesn't want to fight for anything. There's existentialism and nihilism. That's kind of like the main two, like, what would you say, like, concepts to the film, like, philosophies. We're gonna look at an explained article to kind of give you guys a rundown of what some of this shit means. Let me see here. We have plenty of time to talk about this movie. I kind of cut this video short. I don't know why, but we gotta explain everything here. Sorry about this. Let's talk about the ending now, because we kind of talked about what happened throughout the movie. This is A24's highest grossing movie, by the way. So, yeah. Let me see. Let's explain what the Alphaverse jumping means. It's set in the Daniels multiverse, which is vast with various worlds that are all based on every human decision ever made. For every choice, a new universe is created, branching off into its own thing. The interesting thing about the film's version of the multiverse is that each universe doesn't seem to have existed at once. Rather, the universes that branch out are predicated by an individual's decisions and how it affects their life's journey. The Alphaverse, as its name refers, is at the top of the multiversal chain because it was the first to discover the multiverse existed. The people of the Alphaverse were able to figure out how every universe came to be and the decisions each person took to get them to their current place in life. The Alphaverse is also the only one to create technology to communicate with other parts of the Everything Everywhere All at Once multiverse, including verse jumping, which involves tapping into another version of oneself to borrow their skills or inhabit their mind for a while. Evelyn and Alphaverse Wayman are able to separate their consciousness by doing something strange. For Evelyn, that involves switching her shoes from one foot to the other, but Alphaverse Wayman has another trick up his sleeve as well. To fully inhabit Evelyn's husband Wayman in her universe, the Alphaverse version has to do something completely bizarre before pressing the Bluetooth headphones to be tapped into another's consciousness. This could be anything from sticking a sharp object up one's butt to Evelyn declaring her love for Deidre, the IRS agent who she hates. The more outrageous it is, the easier it is to verse jump. Evelyn is the perfect choice to save the multiverse, and here's why. In the Everything Everywhere All at Once ending, Evelyn's multiverse doppelgangers were all fairly accomplished in one way or another. At the very least, they had chosen a path and stuck with it, while Evelyn's own life was up in the air and often unclear. Crucially, Evelyn is just as chaotic as the events in the multiverse because she has all of this untapped potential. Whereas all the other Evelyns have settled into their lives, the film's primary Evelyn is full of regret about the decisions she didn't make. She leads a life she didn't necessarily see for herself, and her feelings of inadequacy, of not living up to the standards of her father's expectations, still haunt her, coloring Evelyn's relationships with Wayman and Joy. And this is kind of like where everyone comes together at the end of the film. Like, they weren't able to accomplish what they necessarily wanted to, and they love each other because of that. They bond over that because they can relate to each other. Alpha Wayman chooses Evelyn to save the multiverse because she's so bad at everything, she's capable of anything. No other Evelyns could understand that the Everything Everywhere All at Once villain, Jobu Tupaki, was going through because their feelings of desolation were not as strong. What's more, Jobu Tupaki's Evelyn was so hard on her daughter, which is something Evelyn can relate to because she has been the same with Joy. She also carries the trauma of her own father disowning her after she marries Wayman. And it's these very emotions that allow her to step up to meet Jobu Tupaki on a level playing field. All someone had to do was believe that Evelyn could do something extraordinary, which Alpha Wayman did, seeing behind what she saw in herself, to make her the perfect choice to help the multiverse and bring back the balance that was lost. We can talk about the Everything Bagel with the Jobu Tupaki. Jobu Tupaki is a bit of a tragic figure in the Everything Everywhere All at Once ending. She's the Alphaverse version of Joy, whose mother, also Evelyn, pushed her way too hard to tap into the multiverse. She verse jumped so much that something in her mind shattered, with Jobu Tupaki experiencing the entire multiverse simultaneously. This led to Jobu Tupaki being able to embody any version of Joy without having to perform any of the Alphaverse tricks that others had to do to verse jump. This is a direct metaphor for the overwhelming nature of modern society, where so much global events, social media, societal issues, and personal life struggles demands attention. Jobu Tupaki's mind is split in that way, being pulled in so many wildly different directions to the point that it gets to be too much. And Everything Everywhere All at Once, Jobu Tupaki had nothing to lose after that, feeling the weight of the multiverse pressing in, so she decided to see what would happen if she threw experiences, thoughts, and just about everything she could think of on top of a bagel. Jobu Tupaki wanted to discover just what would happen if all the chaos was in one place, especially since she could experience all of it at once. What Jobu Tupaki ultimately found is, despite the entirety of the multiverse and all that was in it, that nothing really mattered at all. It's why she wanted to succumb to the Everything Bagel's power, which was pulling her towards its void. A big part of Jobu Tupaki's journey was learning that there is still hope in that even though nothing matters, there are certain things, like a mother-daughter relationship, that are still worth fighting for. The Everything Everywhere All at Once ending sees Evelyn trying to make amends with Joy, who was tired of trying to please her mother. Evelyn had a big moment when confronting her father about Joy being with her girlfriend, but it was a moment born from Evelyn's need to defy her dad. Joy, feeling like she couldn't live up to her mother's expectations, breaks down, and it's only then that Evelyn realizes that, if nothing else, the relationship she has with her daughter, as tension-filled and complicated it may be, matters more than anything. Everything Everywhere All at Once multiverse leans into the layered dynamic between a parent and their child. Evelyn and Joy have so much pain from their familial relationships, but they also have a lot of love. When Evelyn reveals she always wants to be with Joy no matter where they are, it is the start of a healing process for both characters from the pain inflicted previously. That is key to overcoming both of their traumas and breaking the generational cycle that causes a rift between parents and their children. At the heart of the film is the message that family matters, so long as one is willing to listen and approach things with an open heart. Besides dealing with family traumas like Encanto, the film explores how a person can be caught between so many expectations, perceptions, and the constant barrage of things in life that requires so much of one's attention. It also reflects it's also a reflection of society and how much the digital age has changed the way people consume just about everything. Jobu Tupaki has access to countless versions of herself and the multiverse at large, and the influx of information was so intense and taxing on the mind that she couldn't take it anymore. As the Everything Everywhere All at Once ending implies, it can start to feel like nothing really matters. For Joy and Evelyn, they needed to step away from the pressures of the world and realize that they both, despite all the hurdles, are worth it in the end. In times of hardship and darkness, one can still find hope, and that's kind of like the message. That's all I have to say, guys. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. GCTV is always reviewing your favorite movies. Tomorrow we're going to do Pulp Fiction. I think we're going to go kick it back to the throwbacks for once. I think we're reviewing Pearl at some point this week, though. So watch out for that. Pearl is a movie